Hello, thank you for joining us today. Welcome. My name is Jennifer Nash. I'm a part of the product marketing team here at Akeneo. I'll be your host for today's session, and I'm joined by my colleague, Greg Roney, one of our pre-sales engineers. Before we get started, I have a couple of quick housekeeping items to share with you about how today's session will be run. So all attendees are in listen-only mode. We are recording today's session, and a recording will be shared with you as part of the follow-up materials after today's event. And we are going to leave time for questions at the end. So if you do have a question, please enter it at any time via the Q&A box on your screen. And so let's go ahead and get started. During today's session, we are going to show you ways that you can improve your product experience management. And when we talk about product experience management, we're talking about the combination of people, processes, and technology that you use to deliver product experiences to support your business growth strategies. And today we're going to talk about PXM in relation to three key topics: how to sell better, how to sell faster, and how to sell anywhere. And first, we will show you ways that Akeneo can help you sell better. A common question that we hear is, how can I improve my product performance on my channels? You know, it's not just enough to bring a product to market. Your product has to have high quality product information. If your product is missing information, it could cost you a sale. If you have wrong product information, your customer is more likely to return the item. So you'll have to deal with the cost of a return and potentially lose future sales from an unhappy customer. And no one wants that. And when it comes to improving the quality of your product information and selling better, a good place to start is to look at your data governance and structure. So we'll walk you through the data governance features in Akeneo PIM that will enable you to create a strong foundation for your product information to deliver great product experiences that drive conversions. And it's not just enough to sell better. You must also think about how to sell faster, how to bring your products to market faster. Each day that products are sitting and waiting to get to market is a day of lost revenue opportunity. So taking steps to decrease your time to market is critical, especially in a challenging competitive market. So today, we'll show you how Akeneo can help you leverage automation, workflows, and analytics to speed your time to market. And then once your teams, your processes, and your product information is all in order to sell better and sell faster, you'll be equipped to sell anywhere. And today's buyers are omni-channel browsers. On average, they're visiting 9 to 10 different sites and locations before they make a purchase. And markets change quickly, so you need to be prepared to quickly deliver product information to your distribution network and channels, information that is formatted to comply with industry-specific and regional requirements and regulations. And we'll show you how Akeneo makes it easy to activate your product information across new channels, as well as share your product information with other stakeholders who need access to that data, such as your distributors, sales teams, and customer support teams. But before we go any further, I have one more introduction to make. I would like to introduce you to Zigolf. Zigolf is a brand manufacturer that sells a variety of golf equipment and accessories across multiple channels, including B2B distributors, golf shops, retailers, and on their own D2C site. And Zigolf wants to expand their product lines. And to support this, they are focused on three key goals. First, they want to improve product performance in each of their channels. Second, they need to improve their time to market. And finally, they want to be able to sell across more channels, marketplaces, and geographies. This seems pretty straightforward. These are goals that many companies have, and maybe these are topics that you're talking about with your own teams. But something is holding Zigolf back from achieving the success they need, and that's their product information. It's everywhere and scattered across multiple systems and spreadsheets. Gathering the right information to send to the market is an extremely time-consuming, manual, and painful task. And because of this, it's hard to instill the data validation and workflows that would enable them to increase the quality and completeness of their information so that they can get to market faster. So we're going to show you how we can help Zigolf solve their data dilemmas and achieve their business growth goals with the Akeneo Product Cloud. And we'll start by looking at how Akeneo can help Zigolf sell better by enabling data governance to improve data quality and ultimately improve product performance by delivering higher quality product information that will create a great product experience and a great customer experience. And Greg, I'll turn it over to you so you can start showing us how.
Thanks, Jennifer. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to show you the Akeneo solution, and we're going to start with how Akeneo can help you sell better. And here is going to be a focus on data structure and quality. I really believe that the features that you are going to see here will not only help you sell better, but will enable you to sell faster and sell anywhere. And so before we get started on anything else with this, I do want to jump right into an overview of the solution so we're all on the same page as we move forward. So coming right into it, we see here the Akeneo product grid. We're looking at products in the Akeneo PIM, and if you've ever done online shopping in the last 20 years, it probably looks somewhat familiar to you. You have your filters on the left, you have your search bar at the top, you have big green action buttons throughout, and you have your products in the middle. This easy to use UI is going to make it really great for Zigolf to hand this over and get adoption of this tool right away. So if we jump into any one of these products, like this golf bag, we can see that this item is made up of a series of attributes. And these attributes you can see right off the bat are all typed. So we have simple text fields. We have measurement units, measurement attributes with units. We have pricing with the actual currency, descriptions that have the WYSIWYG editor that we can stylize and view the code for, and so much more, such as images. Now, all of the attributes that this bag has are being defined by the family of products that this item belongs to. Now, for example, this might have some specifications here that make sense for a bag to have, but if we come back and take a look at, say, a hat might have different attributes that don't make sense for that bag. So for instance, what gender this is. For a hat, maybe it's unisex, maybe it's a girl's hat, a boy's hat, but for a golf bag, maybe that doesn't apply. Now, you can see as I switched between these two products that some of these attributes here have little flags on them. So not only am I able to see the American version of this, I can switch and view the Spanish American version of this, or switching over to the United Kingdom version of this. And I can have different values for these different attributes within the same attribute. So I'm not creating an attribute for US English and an attribute for the Spanish, US Spanish name here. It's all within the same attribute. You can also see that this description here has e-commerce tag next to it. So I can view the e-commerce description, and then I can view what Zigolf is going to send to their golf shop retailers, or maybe to their Amazon retailers. And I can have a different value for each. So I can save that. There we go. Now I can flip between, see the golf shop one. There we go. So right off the bat, I hope you can already see how the structure of the data is really setting Zigolf up for success. But what if they want to change it? What if they want to add more attributes to these products to help buyers find the exact right product rather? So for example, a buyer might be looking for a driver with a certain launch, and another buyer might be looking for a driver with a certain spin. If Zigolf creates these attributes in the PIM, it can help Zigolf reach these buyers more easily. So when they go to create these attributes in the PIM, there's three things that they need to keep in mind. One is that attributes are strongly typed. So numbers have numbers to them, measurements have units, and so on. This is going to help them with their data governance. They can be localizable and scopable to a channel, as we just saw, and they can have explicit validation parameters. For instance, they might want to prevent negative numbers or have a certain range of numbers or match a text field to a regular expression. Once they've created these attributes, they can then add them to the product family. And there they can mark whether or not those are going to be required for each one of those channels. So let's jump back into it and see how they can create those attributes. So we'll come to our settings here. We'll go to our attributes and we'll create the attribute. Like I said, attributes are strongly typed. So the first thing they have to do is select what this is going to be. And when they're creating a launch attribute for those drivers, it's probably best to limit the selection that the PIM users have so that they can keep it to the fields that make sense. So they'll select a simple select attribute and they'll call this launch. So go ahead and confirm that. Now, Zingoff can put this into an attribute group, such as the specifications. They can say whether or not this has a different value for each channel, a different value for each locale. And they can go ahead and save this, come back up to the options here. And now they can start to add in options. So they might have a high launch, they might have a mid launch, and they might have a low launch. So now that they've created these attributes, they can create the other one for the spin. So they can create that, again, limiting what the users will have in terms of options to help with that data governance. And we'll go ahead and create the spin one. Once again, selecting that it's going to be in an attribute group for specifications, and then adding in some options for it. So once again, we'll do high, we'll do mid, and we'll do low. So now that these options exist, we can go into our families, we'll find our driver. There we go. We can go to the attributes for this product family, and we can add in the attributes we just created, which was launch and spin. Now, once they've added these attributes to this product, they can see that they can say whether or not they're going to be required for any one of their channels. So the channels you can see are at the top, and they can say that Amazon is probably going to require that. Their own direct-to-consumer site might require that. And maybe they want to include this in their InDesign, their publishing, the information that they're going to send to their brochure, right? So they've created this, and now if we come back to our product listing and find a driver, we can see in the specifications, we have launch and we have spin. Now, because these attributes exist, they're strongly typed, they're limited in options, Zingoff can use these to create filters on their front end. And by having these filters here that can help empower search of those products, empower SEO, it's going to be that much easier for their customers to find the right products faster. The longer a customer has to search for a product, the more likely they are to find a product that's made by a competitor. Now, some of the products that Zingoff sells are variations of other products. So for example, golf shirts. Shirts might have the same name, the same description, made of the same material, but they might vary based on the color of that shirt and the size of that shirt. And it's this bottom row, the size and the color, the combination of those two, which are going to be the actual items with the SKU that they're going to sell. So if we come back to our product listing here, I can find a shirt, such as this Adidas woman shirt here. And we can see all of the common level attributes. So it's an insulated shirt, it has a description, a name, it's a brand by Adidas, right? But I can go to a different color. There's a navy version, there's a quiet crimson version. So we can take a look at that shirt and you can see all the common level attributes are now grayed out. And this color of the shirt is inheriting all of that information from the common level, but we can see it has a unique image for this color. It has the color definition here as an attribute, and we can go a layer deeper and take a look at the sizes. So it comes in all these different sizes. So I can click on this medium one here. Once again, everything from the top two layers are being inherited, such as the color, but now I'm seeing the size definition here. Maybe I have a UPC or a SKU that's unique here, and I can put any number of attributes at any one of these levels if I needed to. To take a look at another example, going back to the driver that we had just talked about, we can have all of our common level attributes. We can say this is right-handed version of it, have these level of attributes, and then going down to what shaft or loft it has as well. So if I needed to, those attributes that we just created for this driver, if for instance, they existed at the hand level or the shaft loft level, I can, instead of defining them here, go to my settings, go to my family for my driver. And here where I have the variation definitions, I can drag and drop them. Now you notice I have multiple variant definitions for this driver. That's because this driver might exist, or drivers in general might exist with multiple types of variations. So I can select the attributes we created, drag and drop them to the levels where they need to go. So the drivers that Zigoff sells have the attribute for the grips and the shaft, as we were just looking at. Now, the grips and the shafts also might have their own attributes that are part of it. So for instance, the material that the shaft is made out of, the torque, the flex of that shaft. And Zigoff needs a way for every driver that uses the same shaft to inherit all of those shaft attributes so that they don't have to repeat those on every single one of the products. Doing so would increase the likelihood of mistakes because of repetition. Luckily for Zigoff, Akeneo has reference entities. And reference entities are exactly like that. They are attributes that have their own attributes. So the shaft of the driver can have the flex, the torque, and the material defined at that level. So coming back to the pen, we have our reference entities over here. And so I can take a look at the shafts, and we can see this Mitsubishi shaft up here. It has a flex, it is a stiff flex. It is made out of graphite. It has this weight, this torque, this length. So this attribute, this reference entity has its own set of attributes. And if I needed to, I can add on additional attributes to this. So I can come to my attributes. And once again, these are strongly typed to ensure data governance within the reference entity. So any product that is using this Mitsubishi shaft here is going to have all of these other attributes inherited with it. And this is going to cut down on any data entry anomalies that might happen from the repetition of putting all of this information on every single golf club that uses the Mitsubishi shaft here. As another example, we can take a look at the grips, and we can see that this has different set of attributes, such as the material it's made out of, it's multi-compound velvet wrap, the size of it, the construction of it. And these are all going to live along with that grip whenever it's assigned to a product. And as one more example, we can have the color here. So things like color, where we have light yellow, white sky, white pepper, right? All of these can have their own definition with a hex code that defines what this color is. And then this also references another reference entity to define that it is a generic color of yellow that can help drive a search filter for a non-specific color. So really, reference entities are here to help you normalize your data set. So one of the biggest things that Zigoff can do to help them sell better is increase the quality and completeness of their product listings. So did you know that on average, 47% of newly created product records have at least one critical error, and 80% of retailers are not confident in their product data? The consequences are that products are not published because they're incomplete or do not meet the requirements of the retailer. Or worse, products are published with spelling mistakes or erroneous information, leading to damage of the brand reputation, or products that are purchased that do not match customer needs and then are then returned. So Zigoff is going to be able to sell better using Akeneo's completeness score for every single product. And this is going to be based on how many required attributes are filled out. Required attributes that are missing are going to be marked in yellow. There's also data quality insights, which is going to score every single one of those products from A to E. If it's going to score the products based on how many attributes have values, whether they're required or not, as well as being based on whether or not there's spelling or capitalization issues. So these data quality insights not only give Zigoff confidence, but they can help them focus their enrichment efforts and help them go to market faster. Last, speaking of going to market faster, there is time to market insights dashboard to track productivity. So how long is it taking for these products to get enriched? Is it by which categories, by the locations, by the languages, and seeing that over time, the average time it's going to take over time. So let's go ahead and take a look at these in action. So if I come back to my product listings here, we can take a look at this white cap again, and we can see at the top, we have our completeness score. I have this button that says there's 4 missing required attributes. If I click on that, it filters down and shows me just those attributes. So we're missing the brand, so I can fill that out. And now if I save that, our completeness score goes up because that's no longer missing. Now, as I switch between my different channels, you can see that my completeness score changes and the required attributes that are missing also change. Because remember, when we were taking a look at the family definition and what attributes are there, we were selecting off what attributes are going to be required for which channel. So this is also being tracked over not just the channel, but over all of the locales. So for instance, this is missing for US English, but if I fill it in and save it, now we're at a completeness level for 75% for US English, but I'm still missing that attribute for description for Canada, for United Kingdom, because I haven't translated it. Now I can track this more easily looking at the completeness dashboard for this product over all locales, over all of my languages here. And I also have this quality score here. So this has the quality score of B. And so it's not just the non-required attributes that are missing, but the required attributes that are missing values, the missing, whether or not there's a missing image, which there isn't, so we're good there, and whether or not there's any spelling issues, lowercase issues, uppercase issues. So for the attribute with a spelling issue, you can see it's a link. So I can click on it, go right to it, and you can see it's underlined snapback and wicking. So I can go ahead and use the dictionary in Akeneo to fix those, save that, and our quality score should be adjusted. So eventually, once it recalculates it, so that it no longer counts against us. Now, I can track this, of course, across all of my products by looking at the activity data. I can see the completeness over all my channels, all my locales in one single place, as well as track the data quality of all of my products over all of my channels here in one place, and have key indicators for what I need to fix. So if there's products that are missing images or products that have spelling issues, I have these links here to jump and filter right to those products. Last, time to market insights here, being able to track how long it takes for these products to reach 100% completeness on their required attributes over time. So I can configure this. And so instead of looking for the time to enrich over for these products, I can look at the total number of enriched products over time. Okay.
Well, thank you, Greg. And now that Zigoff has established data governance and improved the quality of their product information, They're ready to look at how they can sell faster by improving their time to market. And with time to market insights, we just shown you how Zigolf will be able to analyze how long it takes their teams to prepare products for market and identify ways to improve their product enrichment processes. So Greg, what are some other things that Zigolf could do to improve their process efficiencies to get products to market faster?
Well, Jennifer, I'm glad you asked. So now that they have the structure in place for their products, they can focus on enriching those products and getting them into the PIM, and really focus on cutting down any manual efforts and allowing the entire team to contribute. So first, let's talk about how they can get products into the PIM faster. So some of their products are floating around the company in the form of spreadsheets. This is a very common story. We hear it every day. Each department has their own spreadsheet format, and Zigolf wants to get that information into the PIM and then have those teams work in the PIM going forward. With tailored imports, Zigolf can take the spreadsheets in their current format and bring them into the PIM without changing the structure of the spreadsheet itself. So let's see how that is done. If I come back to the spreadsheet instead of the PIM, we can see some of the information of these golf pants that they want to bring into the PIM. Now, this spreadsheet, they don't want to change it. This is, if this had thousands of rows in it, it would be a laborious task to make it match the data structure of the PIM. So instead of doing that, they're going to use a tailored import to use the spreadsheet as it exists today. So I'll just call this a demo import profile. And there's a lot of import styles here that I can choose from, but we're going to go with a tailored product import here. And I'm going to start by initializing the import structure. And so what I'll do is I will find that spreadsheet that we were just looking at. That's the one. Go ahead and import it. And we get a preview of that, of all of the products in that spreadsheet. We get a preview with a spreadsheet. We'll go ahead and confirm that this is what we want. And now I can start to do the mapping. So the first thing we had in that spreadsheet was the SKU. So we're going to select the SKU attribute and map it to the SKU column. We have a name attribute in the name column, and we're going to make sure that we're importing it for the right language. And we have a description, so we'll do the description here. And you can see here that the description had some HTML tags in it. Now, I don't want to import those as it is now because that wouldn't be very great. So I'm going to clean that HTML on import. And instead of removing the HTML tags, I want to decode that and make it part of the style of the WYSIWYG editor. There are some other operations I can do here as well. I could change the case on import, extract values with a regular expression, remove white spaces, do a search and replace. But for now, I'm going to keep it to the HTML tags. The other thing that we had there was the color of the pants. So I'll find the color here, find the color column, and we have navy, we have white, we have purple. Now, these might be, specifically navy, might not be the color that we have in the PIM. So maybe in the PIM, instead of it being navy, we just have blue. And we have a lot of blues to choose from. And so I'm just going to map anything that says navy in the spreadsheet to blue in the PIM. The other thing we had were sizes. So I'll find my size attribute here and find my size column. And then again, we have large, medium, small, but in the PIM, we have XS, S, M. So I can once again say that anytime you see medium in the spreadsheet, map it to M. Now, I'm not going to bore you all by doing all of the mapping here because luckily for Zigolf, they don't have to do this mapping every single time they want to import the spreadsheet. It's probably likely that this spreadsheet is a similar format all across the company. And so if that's the case, they can save that mapping that we were just doing and reuse it over and over and over again. So I did that mapping earlier today. And so I can just go into the import profile, find that spreadsheet again, open it up, upload it and import it. And Akeneo takes that file, downloads it, validates that the structure is correct based on what we taught it, and then imports those products and creates those 6 new products for us in the pin. So we have our new products there. Now, the other way that ZigGolf can import products might be from getting it from the suppliers themselves. So for instance, hats, t-shirts, they sell them, but they don't make them. So instead of having the suppliers email them all that product information, they can give them access to the onboarder portal. Vendors can log into their personal portal where they can create products, upload products, enrich the products that they've already created and uploaded. And ZigGolf gets to choose at the end of the day what makes it into the pin. So we'll come back and we'll take a look at hats, which is something that they need to get from their suppliers. So the first thing they need to do is decide what information they need from their suppliers. So we'll find our hats family, and we'll come back to our attributes that we saw before. And we have a channel here called onboarder. And so ZigGolf can go down this list and say, yeah, we want color from the supplier. We want the name from the supplier. The description might just be a nice to have. So they can just check off here what it is they're getting, right? Once they've selected what it is that they want from the supplier can then log into their personal portal, the onboarder portal. This is Acme Corporation. They get their own URL, and they can create the products. Now they'll give it a supplier reference here. And now you can see that I have restricted Acme Corporation to only be able to submit hats and t-shirts because these are the only things that ZigGolf buys from this corporation. So there's no reason for Acme Corporation to submit a driver, so they can't. So they go ahead, they can create this product, they can give it this, fill out all of the required attributes. Once again, selecting, there's the missing required attributes, still highlighting it, very similar to what we saw. We'll call this the Ziggy hat. We'll say that it is a purple, find purple here. There we go. And we'll say that this is unisex because anybody can wear it. Labels be not something we need to worry about. So we have our new Ziggy hat here. And now ZigGolf, they can come into their side of the portal, take a look at the Akeneo onboarder here, and take a look at what's been submitted. So they have the blue Ziggy golf hat, which was submitted earlier, and the Ziggy golf hat we just created. And so now ZigGolf can go ahead and approve or reject this product, whether or not this is meeting the requirements they have. So we'll go ahead and say approve. They'll find the category that ZigGolf wants to import it in, and they can save it. And now that product that Acme Corporation just submitted is now part of the PIN. Now, of course, the supplier, Acme, may not want to create every single one of those products one by one. So of course, there is an ability to import from spreadsheet in bulk. All right, so now that these products are in the PIN, it's time for the ZigGolf team to enrich the products with things like their marketing descriptions of what they want their customers to see. So some PIM solutions have a very linear workflow where a product must flow from someone in team A to someone in team B and so on until it reaches someone who can approve the product. The problem is what happens if somebody from team B is out of the office? Does the product get stuck here? What happens if the reviewer rejects that product? Does it go back all the way to team A and through the process again? Or does it go back to the person who created the product, who submitted that change? So Akeneo isn't like this. Instead, Akeneo has a parallel workflow. This means that a product can be worked on by more than one team at the same time. Rejections are going to go back to the person who submitted the suggestion and not back through the entire process over again. So coming back to our PIN here, we'll take a look at our product listing. And so the admin here can start the process by creating filters as to what ZigGolf needs to be working on. They can create a filter using any attribute that exists within the PIN. But for now, I'm going to keep it really simple. And I'm just going to say any product that is not complete are the products that we need to be focused on as part of our enrichment effort today. So the admin here can go ahead and save this as a view, and they can say to do. Go ahead and save that. Now, we've been looking at the admin view, but over here, I have a marketing user. And you can see right away that the marketing user has changed their view of the PIM to be in a gallery style, because the marketing user really cares about, seeing the products in their big picture, that the images look great and are ready to go to market. So they can start by coming over to their view, finding the to-do, and these are the products that the admin has said, hey, we need to be working on these, such as this youth golf cap. And they can log in and they can see, yeah, I have these marketing attributes that I can work on. But you can see everything else is either missing or grayed out because this marketing user doesn't have permissions to either view or edit those other attributes. Similarly, I have this other user over here who might be focused on just sizes, dimensions, and colors of all of the products in the PIM. They can also find this view of the to-do list here, and they can focus on this hat, and you can see that they have more permissions to be able to see other attributes like the ERP ones, but they don't have write permissions for it. They do have the ability to change anything in the colors and sizes group of attributes. So this user here, Joe, is going to start by saying, all right, this is the white pepper hat. They can save this, but when they save this, this isn't part of the product record yet. It's viewable as a draft that's viewable only to Joe. That's what that little symbol means. Now over here, this user can go ahead and say that this is a good edit, and this is a bad edit, and this is a good edit, right? And they'll go ahead and submit that for approval, say job is done. Coming back to Joe, they'll submit and say color filled out. And now our admin user over here gets a notification, color filled out, job is done. So they can click into these and they can say, okay, that is, we'll go ahead and reject that. That's a bad edit, and go ahead and approve these in bulk and say, good job, and send that along. Taking a look at what Joe submitted, color filled out, great, approve those. Now, a keen eye will notice that I made a mistake there as the admin approving those changes. So I submitted a bad edit by mistake. And that's something that I really don't want to be, sent down the line. And luckily, Akeneo has my back here too. I can go back into that product and I can find the history section of what I had submitted into it. So I can see the old values, the new values side by side. And so I can go ahead and say, all right, this was a mistake. I'm going to restore back to this point and undo the changes that I just made. One more point here, actually, before we move on. The alternative that the admin could have done, instead of creating a view, is they could have created a project from this view. So they can create a project, and we'll call this the to-do project, give it a due date of next week. And now, instead of just having a simple view of the products, they have an activity here. And once this finished calculating, give it a refresh there. There we go. There we go. Now we can track the progress of what's to do, what's in progress, not just for all contributors, but for specific people. So if we see the user for marketing, we can see exactly what they have to do based on their permissions. All right. So all of the products that Zigolf has just put into the PIM today don't have any images. They could easily have asked the supplier to submit those images in the onboarder portal, but there's another way that they can add those images fast. So Zigolf can use the Akeneo Asset Manager to add all of the images for these products in bulk. They can also use the asset manager to add in metadata in the form of asset attributes and perform transformations. So coming back to the PIM, we'll go to our asset manager, and we're going to go ahead and upload a bunch of assets. So I'm going to find my images for the pants that we added earlier, open those up. It says it's ready to create. Great. Go ahead and add those in. So I can go ahead and take a look at these Akeneo purple pants here. And you can see automatically that Akeneo has filled in some of the asset attributes for me automatically. It filled in the product reference and it filled in the item color. It knew to do this because I had trained Akeneo Asset Manager as to what the naming convention of this file I uploaded was, that the color is always going to be here and that the reference is always going to be there. Now, of course, I can add in additional attributes if I needed to. So I can add in, say, a photographer email, right? That's a text type attribute. Again, strongly typing our attributes. And I can say that it has a validation rule that must match an email. So now if I take a look at those assets again, I can see that I have the photographer email attribute. Now you can also see while I was doing that, while I was talking, it did a couple other things for me automatically. So it's created an e-commerce version of this attribute by scaling down the original image that I uploaded, and it's cropped and created a thumbnail version of it. I could have specified up to 10 different transformations, but I kept it down to 2 for the sake of this demo. It also linked this attribute to the product automatically for me using the product reference that it took from the naming convention. I can, of course, if I need to, come in and add assets to products manually. So I can come to the assets section of this product, upload an asset here, or add an asset from an existing collection. Now you can see that these are all a bunch of different assets than what we were just looking at. So I'll come back to my asset manager here, and you can see I have different asset families. Just like you can have different product families, you can have different asset families. So the product media here, if we take a look at it, we can see this one here has its own set of attributes. We can define its own set of transformations. Yeah, so it's not just limited to images. I can have assets for data sheets, YouTube videos, binary files, 3D images. There's actually no restriction on the file type that you can upload. The other thing is that I could link to other assets that might not be stored in Akeneo. So for example, you might have assets that already exist in a DAM or an S3 bucket. So instead of downloading those images and uploading them back and duplicating efforts, you can just link the asset manager here to those existing applications and have all of that same metadata and linking to products happen. Okay. So last thing as to selling better is automation. Some of the attributes that Zigolf needs to create can be a little bit tedious. So for example, SEO meta title attributes are often just made up of the values of other attributes. So if Zigolf were to go through each product and copy and paste values from one attribute to another, this could eventually lead to mistakes because of the repetition. So instead of building out the SEO attributes manually, Zigolf can use the rules engine to automate this task. The rules engine is if-then logic built right into the UI. And the best part is that there's no code experience required for Zigolf to automate this. So I'll come back to the PIM. I'll go to my settings and find my rules engine here. So I forgot to give myself the permissions to create those. So first thing we're going to do is change my permissions. So everything in Akeneo is based on roles and permissions. And so I'll come down to my rules section and I'll give myself, the admin, the ability to create and edit rules. Give myself a little refresh there. All right, now I can come back to my settings, go to my rules engine, and I can create my SEO rule. So I'll type that out, my SEO rule here, save that. And the first thing I need to do is my if statement, the condition, what products am I trying to find? So I will make sure that any product I am filling out the SEO attribute for is filled out. So the name is not empty for US English. And I'm also going to find the brand, because maybe the brand is something we want in the SEO attribute, is not empty. So I'm just going to limit it to those two for now. And then we're going to add an action, my then statement. And I'm going to concatenate multiple values. So I'll find my name for US English, and I will find my brand for US English. I can go ahead and add text and put that between them. So I'm separating them by a comma and a space. And I can go ahead and just add in more text of just SEO and a space. So we have a little preview here of what the concatenation is going to build out for us. And then I can target this and find the meta title SEO attribute for US English. And so I'll go ahead and save that, come back to my rules. I'll enable this and I can run this. While this runs, this rule can be turned on and run manually like I just did, or I can leave the rule on and it will run automatically 4 times a day. I can also set priorities for this. So if I needed to build out multiple rules and have one rule run before the other, I can set a priority. I can also add additional actions to this if I needed to. So for example, maybe after it's done filling out the attribute, I can automatically set the category, or I can go ahead and add in additional attribute values, copy attribute values. For instance, US English and UK English are pretty similar most of the time. Maybe to cut down on some of my work, I can just copy the value from one to the other. So I will leave that blank for now. And hopefully the process has completed and I can come take a look at my attributes and find my SEO meta title. And it did, it has completed and built out my meta title for me automatically. All right, Jennifer, I'm going to hand it back to you.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll let you catch your breath for a second. That was great. Thank you for sharing all of that functionality. And so far, we've helped Zigolf improve data governance to deliver high quality product experiences that will enable them to sell better by increasing conversions and reducing returns. And now we've helped Zigolf improve time to market so that they can sell faster. So now we're ready to address that final goal of selling across more channels and geographies. So Greg, please show us how Akeneo can help Zigolf sell anywhere.
Yeah, let me unmute myself again. All right, so now that Zigolf has created their golden record of product information, making sure it's high quality product data, it is time to share it across all of their channels. So this might be Amazon, this might be the golf shop that we saw earlier, it might be publications, it can be any destination. So Zigolf is going to use a few tools here within Akeneo to help them. First is tailored exports. So just as we saw that there's product information in spreadsheets that need to get into the PIM, sometimes you need to export product information to a spreadsheet. Now, for example, one of Zigolf's retailers doesn't have the same great technical infrastructure that Zigolf is adopting here with Akeneo. So that retailer needs Zigolf to send them product information in the form of a spreadsheet. But they don't just want it in any spreadsheet format, they need it in a very specific format to support their integrated tools. Now, this might sound daunting, but Akeneo has Zigolf's back because tailored exports works just like tailored imports that we saw before. This time, we will use Akeneo to map the PIM attributes to the spreadsheet columns. And just like before, Zigolf can perform transformations on the data so that the retailer is getting the information in the right format every time. So first, let's pretend that this spreadsheet is what that retailer has asked for. This is the format that they want to get information from. The first thing we can do is copy this header row. Because we're going to just use that to build out that export profile. So I'll come to my export profiles. I'll create an export profile. We'll call this demo again. And this is a tailored product export. And go ahead and save that. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is initialize the export structure. So I'll add my first column here, but instead of adding each column manually, I'm going to paste that header row from that spreadsheet, and it fills in every column for me automatically. Now, I just have to go down every single one of these columns and do the mapping, just as we saw before. So we'll find our name, and we'll select what language we're sending them, and we'll find our description. And just like before, we can see here that we have the ability to clean up HTML tags because maybe this retailer doesn't want HTML tags. And what if the value is blank? Maybe the retailer needs it to say null instead of just being blank. So we can add in a value for if it's blank. We can do things like, let's find a weight attribute. So we have weight, and then with weight, that retailer might need us to convert it. So instead of being sent in pounds, we can send it in ounces. We can round that to up, down, precision of 2. And we can say, all right, just send the value or just send the value in the unit, just send the unit, really up to you and how we need to build it out. And then as another example, we have something like this, where it might be length times width times height is what the retailer is asking for, all in the same column. So we can go ahead and add in our length attribute. We can add in our width if I have it. I don't have it. And we'll go ahead and add in our height if I have it. I don't. So go ahead and add in instead size. So we'll do this length times size instead. Okay, so we have again the preview of what we're building out. We'll add our text, the X here, move that up. And so now we have length times size is what we're concatenating and building out for us. So again, I can go, I'm not going to bore you by going through this entire spreadsheet and building it out. And luckily they can save this and reuse this over and over and over again for this retailer. There's a couple other things they can do as well. So they can limit the product selection that they're sending to this retailer. Maybe they don't sell every single one of their product families to this retailer, so they can just select off what they do sell to this retailer. They can also select what categories, maybe there's specific subcategories of bags and belts. Maybe they're only sending complete products. Maybe they're only sending products with a quality score of A. And maybe every time they run this, they only want to send the products that have been updated since the last export, so that they're only sending the delta every single time. Then last, they can say that this is going to be sent to an SFTP server on the retailer side, and they'll schedule it so it occurs automatically every so often. Okay, so Zigoff was able to get the product information to that retailer, but what about their own direct-to-consumer Shopify store? So luckily for Zigoff, they can use one of the Shopify apps or connectors in the Akeneo App Store to make that process a breeze. There are 186 apps and connectors in the App Store for e-commerce, DAMs, translations, and even AI tools that can help Zigoff create product descriptions with generative AI. We encourage you to take a look at apps.akeneo.com to see if there's anything in your tech stack that can integrate with Akeneo with an app or a connector. All right. So another destination of product information is Zigoff's customer service team. They need to access product information, but since they will never be making changes to product data, they will need read-only access. They can use shared catalogs to do this. Shared catalogs is going to provide those customer service reps with a portal that provides the same easy to navigate UI as the PIM, making it easier for Zigoff to share large amounts of information that's not in a spreadsheet. So coming back over here, we have the shared catalogs portal. you can see that I have set it up with Zigoff's branding, so they were able to brand it. And I can log in here. And these are the products that I have decided to share with our customer service reps. And these are the attributes that I have decided to share. So just like with our retailer, I have specified that only certain products, only certain attributes can be shared with customer service. All of this is in a nice read-only fashion. They have access to product media here as well to be able to see the various sizes. And if you consider maybe somebody calls in looking for a particular color of pants, they can use filters to find that. So we'll find our color filter here, filter on color, and maybe they're looking for pink pants. There we go. And we have all of these pink skirts because apparently we don't have pants that are pink. All right. So Zigoff also has some homegrown tools that they need to get product information into. And since the tools were made by Zigoff, there's no app or connector, but luckily they're able to use the Akeneo API to get information out of the PIM. So skipping too many slides, Zigoff was able to create a middleware solution that used the API to grab information from the PIM, do transformations, input it into the homegrown system. There are 100+ endpoints available that give them a lot of options when it comes to integrations. Zigoff also has some of their products on Amazon as a 1P seller. Before Akeneo, Zigoff was spending way too much time chasing down the ever-changing attribute requirements of Amazon. But now Zigoff has Akeneo Activation for Retailer, which keeps track of the Amazon attribute requirements and provides easy mapping and transformations. The best part is that Zigoff can submit the products directly to Amazon via the API and track errors like product rejections in the UI. But that's a demo for another day. Now, back to you, Jennifer.
All right, thank you, Greg. I'm not sure if those pink skirts are going to be big sellers. So you've shown us some great examples of how Zigoff can leverage Akeneo's capabilities to improve the quality of their product information and create better product experiences to sell better, sell faster, and sell anywhere. And before we wrap up today, I wanted to share a few success stories from other businesses who have been able to achieve their goals by partnering with Akeneo. So first, let's look at how we helped Rural King sell better. Rural King is a B2C farm and home retailer with more than 135 stores across the middle of the United States. They serve rural communities with a large variety of products, and they have more than 300,000 SKUs that they're covering, and that includes everything from animal feed to clothing. And they had an online store, but after nearly a decade in use, they still only had about 35% of their products available online. But Rural King decided that they wanted to introduce the ability to buy online and pick up in store in order to offer a better customer experience. But they quickly realized they wouldn't be able to fully take advantage of this offer until they had systems in place that could scale and support the complete product catalog. And that's when they turned to Akeneo and implemented Akeneo PIM. And in the first 6 months, they doubled the number of products sold online and achieved a 36% increase in sales during their next Black Friday weekend. And thanks to implementing buy online, pick up in store, they increased online revenue by 34% year over year. So that's pretty great. And in our next customer, you may have heard of them, Staples Canada. This is an office supply company, and they have more than 665,000 different products. So they really need strong processes in place to manage their product information. And they wanted to launch a new e-commerce platform specifically for the Canadian market. And they were also looking to take this opportunity to improve operational efficiencies by reducing time to market for new products. So they chose Akeneo to help them create a single source of product information and a strong data foundation to power their tech stack. They successfully launched their new e-commerce platform within 6 months, and they reduced their time to market for a new product from 24 hours to 15 minutes. And when you have nearly 700,000 products to manage, the reduction in time to market from 24 hours to 15 minutes creates a substantial impact on your selling opportunity. So not only are they gaining more days to sell and earn revenue, their teams are also gaining more time to work on strategic tasks that will help drive more growth. And you've probably heard of our last customer, but you may not know that Jaguar Land Rover operates in 195 countries. They have nearly 40,000 employees and more than 1 million SKUs to manage. That's a complex business. And they were managing this complexity with spreadsheets. It took them months to launch new products, which created a significant lost revenue opportunity for their luxury vehicles. Now, with the Akeneo Product Cloud, they've created a centralized source of truth for their product information that can be distributed to 32 markets in 28 languages. And this resulted in a 93% increase in conversion for Jaguar and a 235% increase in transactions for Land Rover. So those results, they speak for themselves. And that brings us to the end of our content for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've gained some useful insight into how Akeneo can help your business improve the quality of your product information to create product experiences that will help you sell better, sell faster, and sell anywhere. To continue learning, we have 2 content pieces that we'd recommend, and you can scan the QR codes here on your screen to access these assets, and we'll include links to these assets in the follow-up communication after today's event. First up is our PXM strategy assessment. This is a short questionnaire that will ask you a few questions about your current processes around product experience management, the people, the technology, and the processes that you have in place. Then it's going to give you a report with recommendations for steps you can take today to improve your current processes, as well as advice for steps you can take in the future to improve your PXM maturity. The second piece is a total economic impact report. Last year, Akeneo commissioned Forrester Consulting to research how product data and product content tools and processes impact customer experiences. In this report, you'll learn about the strategic value of product information and the potential return on investment that may be achieved by making the Akeneo PIM part of your tech stack. And now we will open it up for questions. If you have a question, please submit it via the Q&A box. And we'll wait just a minute or two to see if additional questions come in, but we have some questions. And so Greg, if you're game, I have a couple of things to ask you.
Yeah.
So one question we received is, are the features available that you showed today, are they available in the community edition?
Yeah, so everything we've been seeing today is for the enterprise edition of Akeneo. There is some overlap between what we've seen and the community edition. So a lot of the product information basics are going to be a part of both packages, but things like the reference entities, asset manager, rules engine are going to be enterprise only.
And another question we received talks about the ability to scale to accommodate a growing product catalog and future requirements. Because when you start to work with the Akeneo PIM, the plan is to grow your business and you're going to have more products. Could you speak to the scalability of the solution?
Yeah, certainly. So Akeneo is a cloud-based service that is built into Google Cloud using a containerized architecture so that it is able to scale to meet demand. Now, some of our largest customers have millions, up to I believe it's 8 million products. But more importantly is that we have we've stress tested the platform to support up to 60 million products without a degradation in performance. Some of our largest customers also have thousands of users in the PIM at the same time, again, without degradation of performance.
Okay, thank you. So with an eye on the clock, I have one more question for you and then we'll wrap it up. What about like documentation, user guides, or other online resources? What resources are available to help people learn how to use Akeneo?
Yeah, so there's a lot. So there is help.akeneo.com, which is kind of a how-to. For any developers, there's the API documentation, which has the Swagger spec, it has the Postman collection, and all sorts of other guides that can help you create an app for Akeneo or a connector to Akeneo. And then as a customer of Akeneo, you would also get access to training materials through Akeneo Academy, as well as any implementation partner that you might also go with if you were to go with Akeneo.
All right, thank you. And thank you again to everyone for joining us today. This concludes our webinar. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Thank you.